so many people around the world supported Messi and really wanted Messi to win. And again, not all. And of course, the people in France, wanted Mbappe and the French team to win. And, the people in Brazil wanted Neymar and the Brazilian team to win, of course. But in general, I can't remember when another single player had so much universal support from around the world as Messi had. And the interesting question is why? From a psychological perspective, I'm looking at why has Messi garnered so much international support? I know here in the US, my mother in Israel, my mother doesn't care about, she doesn't, if I tell her, football, American, she doesn't know the difference. She wanted Messi to win. Why? And there are a few reasons, and it takes me back, and this is very relevant to all of us because just about all of us are interested in promoting something, happiness, well-being, resilience, maybe something else. We're all thinking about our roles as coaches, as parents, as teachers, as therapists, as managers. So we're all interested in our particular roles to promote something. We want people to buy, so to speak, our product. And whether that product is a national team, or whether that product is an intervention in school, or whether that product is a lecture that I'm giving. And when you think about it, why has Messi been so effective? And I think the answer is because Messi is Messi, meaning he's authentic. He is real. He doesn't try to be anyone else. He's his own person. We even saw, when he got very angry in the I think it was the semifinals or the quarterfinals. He didn't put on a facade and be proper and be be quiet. He was Messi. He was himself. He was human. And some people disagreed and they said, well, he shouldn't, as the captain of the team, he shouldn't behave this way. But he was Messi. Also, another thing that garnered a lot of support, he's certainly relative to most top athletes in the world, he's very humble and very down to earth. And people were attracted to that. But I think the main thing is that he's real, he's authentic. And it reminds me of a study that I mentioned maybe once 3 years ago on one of these webinars, but it's worth mentioning again because most of you weren't here then. And this is a study by the very famous, by now, Irvin Yalom. Irvin Yalom is a psychotherapist, a professor from Stanford University, who has written many wonderful books, including the bestseller When Nietzsche Wept, including a book called Lying on the Couch. There are many therapists who admire him and his work. He's done work on existential therapy and group therapy. Really a remarkable thinker and writer. And back in 1973, way before he became famous, he published an article that looked at the impact, the effect of workshops, of interventions on participants, on the audience. And what he did specifically was go to a pre-packaged workshop, but the same workshop was given by dozens of presenters. The exact same words were uttered by dozens of presenters who were part of this very large organization. And yet, some workshops had real lasting impact, whereas other workshops did not. Even though the presenters said the same things, same words were uttered. And yet some were very effective and successful. Others were far less so. So first of all, the content was good of this workshop. It was powerful. It had the potential to have an impact. But what was different among these workshop presenters, and this is what Irvin Yalom found, was that those who were successful and effective were also authentic. They were real. They were themselves. They weren't necessarily more charismatic. It had nothing to do with their looks. They said the same thing. Everyone said the same thing. They basically memorized this workshop. But those who were more effective, more impactful, more successful as presenters were authentic. In other words, they didn't try to be like the person who taught them how to teach this, because they were all taught by the same teachers. They didn't try to be like someone else. They were themselves. So in order to have an impact, there are two elements. It has to be good content, of course, because if you teach material that is not evidence-based, if you teach material that actually doesn't work, it doesn't matter how good you are, it won't work. But once we have good content, what then matters most is how authentic, how real, how genuine, how themselves the teachers are. And this is why I always say it, and you've probably heard me say it a few times. When you teach you. Just like when I teach me, and when Seligman teaches, he teaches Seligman. And when Irvin Yalom teaches, he teaches Irvin Yalom. And when Sonia Lubomirsky teaches, she teaches herself. Not Barbara Fredrickson and not Abraham Maslow. You do you. And that is when you're most effective. So the two elements, once again, good content coupled with authenticity, integrity. And integrity is about know yourself and be yourself. Know yourself and be yourself. And this is what Messi has. Yes, first of all, he has good content. He's humble. He's nice. He's likable. He's an incredible player, which of course helps. And he doesn't try to be someone else. He doesn't try to be Maradona. You know, he admires him, he looks up to him, but he doesn't try to be Maradona in terms of personality. He doesn't try to be Pelé. He doesn't try to be Ronaldo or better than Ronaldo. He's himself. And that, I believe, is one of the things that so attracts people to him. And by extension, of course, to the Argentinian team. And there's a lot that we can learn as teachers, as parents, as coaches. First of all, content. You know, have good content. And for us, it means evidence-based. It means us, teaching material that actually can help. And then teaching who we are, being ourselves, not trying to be someone else. Know who you are, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what your style is of teaching, where you feel most comfortable. Expressing your vulnerability. Messi expressed vulnerability. And focus on your strengths. Who you are, know who you are, and then be who you are. And having these two elements, content and authenticity, that together manufactures, creates effectiveness and impact.